session. Today we have with us two of the brightest minds from SCMHRD, Naveen Sandal and Payal Shivram. Welcome Naveen, welcome Payal.
Thank you so much, Parikshit.
Naveen and Payal will today take us through their journey in their college. I'm sure that SCMHRD is a dream college for most of you, right? And these two brightest minds that we have today with us, they have also recently received their PPOs. So they're going to talk about their PPO journey, about their journey to their coveted B school, and how you today sitting at your home and preparing for your CAT should how you should prepare the next few days. So let me introduce Payal and Naveen to both of you. Payal is an alumnus from NIT Surat. She's recently even received a PPO from Vodafone Idea and is now pursuing her MBA in marketing from SCMHRD. Naveen Sandal is doing his MBA from SCMHRD too. He has received his PPO from PwC SDC, right? He has also worked with TCS, has over 3+ years of experience, has in fact, I would say diverse work experience, having worked with BSNL as well. And as Naveen correctly points out, he loves to create an impact with people and organizations that he works with. Okay, the stage is all yours. I think I'll first start with Payal. Payal, tell us something about your MBA journey.
My MBA journey was filled with fun, a lot of learnings, and a very, very hectic schedule. So MBA as a course is a very rigorous course altogether. So you always need to be on your toe. You always have to be beating the clock. There are so many assignments that there are guest lectures which are going on continuously. You have a lot of assignments. And I, as a person, was always a procrastinator. I used to be doing things like leaving things towards the end. But once my MBA journey has begun, that now that I'm doing my MBA, one thing that I've surely learned is to beat up the clock. And so, I mean, from being a procrastinator to a person who plans out your day completely, I think I have come a very, very long way. And definitely MBA, this is the MBA that has taught me and helped me bring up this lifestyle change. This is about my MBA journey.
So will you agree when I say, or probably a lot of us say, that MBA is probably the two best years of your life?
Of course, yes. I don't remember this kind of hectic schedule that I have lived ever before. There are times when I have slept at 2 o'clock in the night and woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, given interviews at the oddest time of my life. And having said this, you have your own fun time. I mean, because you stay in your hostel and you're in a rigor where everyone in the hostel is at the same rigorous speed. So you all are competing against each other and yet supporting each other for the same life. I mean, the same achievements or the same kind of goal that you all are looking forward to. So yes, I mean, this kind of an experience is not somewhere and not something which you could get it elsewhere, and it's only where an MBA is going to teach you this stuff.
That is wonderful. That is really interesting to know. So Naveen, we'd love to hear your MBA journey as well.
Yeah, sure. So my MBA journey started long back. I mean, I gave CAT and all the other competitive exam snaps and everything in 2017 for the first time. But I actually think the one moment where I realized that this is it was probably in 2018. As you said, I was working with TCS and I was in a good place. I got a great project and I got a lot of responsibilities as well at a very early stage of my career. And from an outsider's perspective, it would seem like that was a perfect situation for me. But to me, myself, it didn't feel right. I felt like as if I was getting too comfortable with the position I had, and the kind of learnings there were very limited, I felt. And that is when I thought this is probably the right time for me to get out of my comfort zone and, probably figure out what I really wanted to do, or probably take that leap of faith and try my hand at MBA. And luckily enough, I was able to get into the best institute for MBA in human resources, SCMHRD, in 2019. And since then, the journey has been so much more fun. I mean, I have pushed my boundaries to the extreme. I have done stuff that I would never have thought that I would do in my life. And there have been so many highs. Equally, there have been so many lows, so many learnings, no 2 day at SCMHRD, are the same. In the last 1.5 years, there have been so many changes and so many things that I can't say that, okay, these 2 days were the same. And that is exactly what I started to do. Like when I started this journey, that is exactly what I wanted to do. So I think I can say that it was a job well done on my part, because when I started, this is exactly what I wanted. And I have achieved so much and learned so much, and the journey is still on. So I'm hoping for a complete, better, hopefully end at the campus.
That is good. That is really good to know. So one thing, right? I mean, I would want to ask both of you probably at this point of time is, you were working, you had good careers. I mean, you were earning a decent salary, right? And as you said that you all wrote the CAT, you all wrote other competitive examinations. And finally, you chose to take up SCMHRD, right? One of the finest colleges. Now, CAT aspirants like always face a dilemma. If I get a plethora of options, which college should I select? Why did you choose SCMHRD? A question to both of you. Probably again, Payal can take it up first.
Sure. So honestly, for me, SCMHRD worked as a blessing. I don't think what I have achieved over here in SCMHRD, I could have achieved it in elsewhere college. I mean, beginning with the placement that I've got in Vodafone Idea, and the way things it worked out for me. Like as I said, SCMHRD has a very rigorous process, which I'm sure all the MBA colleges have. But I think the balance that SCMHRD has between its academics, between the experiential learning that we have, the opportunity to go and delve into research projects, and of course, your job opportunities, which the college provides as well. So, I mean, having discussed this with a couple of seniors who are already in the college and seeing the kind of placement reports that SCMHRD has, I don't think it took me a doubt to consider. Like, I don't think there was any kind of doubt I had in my mind when I decided to choose upon SCMHRD. But having said that, SCMHRD also has different committees which gives you various exposures, and the process that leads. I mean, one goes through to get into these committees is something which really excited me, and also it's a residential program in SCMHRD. So I mean, you need to be on your toe, as I said before. So this kind of a residential program and with SCMHRD offers, I think for me, it just worked out as a blessing, and I just felt the right place that I belong to. And hence the decision of SCMHRD came.
That's really good to know. And I think you, as you mentioned, right, you are part of a lot of committees, and I think you are part of the alumni committee, right?
Correct.
Correct. So could you also tell us about a few alums and how do you connect with your alums very frequently during your college? How do you manage the connect with your alumni?
So we have a lot of it. So currently, obviously, with this pandemic situations, everything is going on virtual. So we do have a lot of city meets that we hold on with in different cities. And not just that, like when we were on campus, and that's what actually attracted me. So we had events like homecoming, where we called different batches back to campus and create a recreation of the days of how they were when they were back in college. Different kind of events for them. So obviously when different alumni from different batches come together, it gives you so much exposure to interact and network. And I think MBA is all about networking. And when you have such kind of platform given to you, or such kind of, say, city meets, say homecoming, or say connect drives, we actually go to the alumni and connect them, like probably in a coffee place, and ask them how things are working with them. How has SCMHRD helped them in their career life, in their corporate life? And what do they suggest to SCMHRD to improve their curriculum, to be more updated with the current scenario of what the industry requires. So accordingly, we could alter our curriculum and go forward. So I think, yes, being part of alumni relations team has given me a lot of opportunity to network. And that is something which I really think is very important in an MBA college, which I got the advantage. I got an advantage of being in that committee. So this has been really helpful.
That's correct. I mean, really well said. I mean, MBA is actually all about networking, right? And I believe Symbiosis Pune would offer you one of the best corporate exposures that any MBA college in the country can provide. Naveen, yes,
Yeah.
journey from TCS, right?
Yes.
For TCS, the tagline is experience certainty.
Yes.
Experience certainty in TCS. Why did you make a switch to your MBA life?
Well, that's the same question I used to ask myself. Am I taking the right decision? You know, am I doing this correctly? I am at a very nice place. I'm getting a steady income. I don't really have any obligations to my family. I'm from a decent home. So that's the same question I had. But then that's the very reason I left it, because I was getting too comfortable at the place I was. And I had, as I earlier mentioned, I didn't feel the, urge to that. Nothing scared me. All the processes, all the things that were going around me at that project, nothing's really scared me. There was nothing new. Every day was really same. So I thought that was probably the best moment for me to come out of that shell of mine and explore and, expand my boundaries and look up what I do. And then there were instances throughout my journey with TCS at different places. I worked with Mumbai first and then Gandhinagar in Gujarat. So all those experiences taught me that, I was acting as a bridge between a lot of parties that were involved, a lot of stakeholders that were involved in my projects. So that is when the spark came in, and I thought maybe HR is something that, I could do. So, and when you really go on Google and best colleges for human resources MBA in India, so you just get 2, 3, 4, 5 names, and you have SCMHRD at the very top, right? So for me to choose SCMHRD, it was a very simple thing, I guess. And when I converted it, I had my happiness knew no bounds, and it was a very simple decision for me, really.
That's great. That's good. And this year, around 230,000 odd students have registered for the CAT examination, right? And I'm sure a majority of them also dream about Symbiosis Pune, right? It's one of their dream colleges. So for all those aspirants, all those lakhs of aspirants who want to write the SNAP, what advice would you give them? How should they prepare this last few days?
Well, these last few days, I think it's more about the mental rigor, because it gets really heavy on you, because you have exams after exams, you have CAT, then SNAP, then SAT, and almost everybody who's serious about MBA fills all of those, right? So it's more about who has the mental capability to hold on and, push through, because almost everybody gets dejected at some point of time. So for them to be able to clear SNAP has to focus and just focus on their strengths right now. Because if they go on taking mocks at this point of time, they will probably not be at the best, that would not be the best advice towards the end. We still have some time before SNAP, right? So maybe take a few more last couple of mocks, review them well, focus more on your strengths now, because you have to capitalize on them. And then maybe your setback, the weaknesses be on the side for now. Take up those last few mocks, probably have your English vocabulary practiced a bit more, because that can always help. That can, that won't take a lot of time of yours. And then on the last day, when you have SNAP, don't really think about anything else. Move from section to section and be focused while you're doing those sections, because it's very easy to get agitated and lose patience. And I feel during my process, while I was preparing, and even when now I'm in the journey of my MBA, I think it's very important to be patient with yourself rather than others, because we usually are polite to others, but we, beat ourselves too much sometimes. So I think that is something that probably my advice would be. Yeah.
That's a great piece of advice. I'm sure that thousands of aspirants who would see this video, right, would actually take it seriously, because that's coming from a horse's mouth. SCMHRD is known for its rigor when it comes to academic as well as non-academic. Could you highlight what is this rigor that we keep talking about in SCMHRD?
Okay, wow, that's a great question. I mean, this rigor for me, I would say, started from the very beginning itself. So my first visit to SCMHRD was in February in 2019 for my interview process. SCMHRD knows the value of giving an experience, right? And it delivers every year during the admission process. And everyone who has ever come to SCMHRD for the admissions process will agree to this. Whether they are a part of SCMHRD or not, that process, the whole process which is taken care of by the students is something else. Then when you come into SCMHRD, there's this 2-day excursion trip where the whole batch is sent to, and then the 3-day spiritual retreat as well. Now this is a combined experience, was so enlightening for me on a personal basis, and it gave me an opportunity to get out of my shell, an opportunity to understand myself better and create some amazing bond with my fellow batchmates before I started the actual journey. So this is at the very beginning of MBA when we joined. And then again, it's one of the best colleges for MBA in India, right? SCMHRD attracts the best minds from all over the country and some of the most amazing faculty as well. So this leads to so many opportunities to broaden your perspective towards ideas, toward problems, toward how to solve those problems, right? The case studies, the presentation, the role plays, the gamified simulations, all of these world-class teaching methods, I would say, make it very interesting and a very enriching process of learning. And not to forget the constant corporate connect, right? So in form of the alumni relations, as Payal just said, for guest lectures, for panel discussions, corporate competitions obviously play a huge role in an MBA student's life. And they give you so many opportunities to learn from the best in the world of business. Then if I come to the not so academic rigor part of it, again, SCMHRD also has 2 subjects, 2 niche subjects basically. So infrastructure development management and business analytics. Now these are very niche subjects. So MBA in these fields are done by people who are really passionate about these fields, and again brings in a lot of diversity in terms of academically as well as the cultural background that these people have, right? So when they come in, and we have the committees and the clubs that we work with, right? When all of these people form one committee and work for a single goal, that brings in such a great diversity, so many thoughts, so many great brainstorming sessions. I cannot begin to tell you. I mean, I can say, like, keep on speaking for 30 more minutes about just about this part of it. And it's a great opportunity to collaborate, to put it simply. I mean, it's amazing mind coming, together and learning and growing. So if I were to, summarize the whole thing, this academic and non-academic rigor helps, gives you endless bound opportunities. So opportunities to, learn, collaborate, explore, experiment, fail sometimes, win, and eventually become a competent manager and an even better human being.
That is really good to know. I mean, some points which you mentioned, probably a lot of us were not aware of it. And now, I mean, that's a very good point that you mentioned just now. Payal, yeah. For you, I know that you have recently got a summer internship, right, in one of the dream companies. So, I want to know 2 parts to it. A, about the summer internship, okay, and B, the summer internship is something that starts probably very soon. Once a candidate enters a B school, he hardly gets time to actually prepare for it. So, I want to know from you how you actually prepared prior to the start of your summer internship and how you actually landed up with this coveted job.
All right. So taking first how I prepared for this internship. So obviously there's a lot of anxiety before your internship begins. You really don't know what's going to come, what kind of a project you're going to get and how to go forward with it. So what I did firstly was, obviously since I was a part of the alumni relations team, the first thing that came into mind was to reach out the alums who are currently working there. So I reached out to the management trainees, different management trainees, not just from SCMHRD, but whoever is there and who I could reach out to. And I found out what kind of projects they get and what did they get during their internship, how did they go about it. And it's always better to have some idea about the company before. And obviously who can give you a better idea than the alumni himself. So I understood how the company is, what are they expecting. And I did my ground research or my homework firstly on the company and the kind of projects that are given. But having said that, the kind of projects that you get can vary from one end to the other. It's totally unexpected. So you cannot really be well prepared as to what kind of a project you're going to get. But how many ever seniors I spoke to, everyone gave me one advice, which was have your Excel and Tableau skills really set. And apart from that, you're working on your presentation skills is something which will really, really help you out. Obviously, when you're presenting a final review, a little bit on collecting different PPT templates is something which will really help you and pull off a very good presentation. So yes, I took care about all this, and of course, talking to different seniors and seeing their presentations of different companies, not just your the company that you've got you're doing an internship with, but with different companies, and see how what approach they followed. That is going to be really helpful, because that's something which you could incorporate in your internship. So I mean, try and see different seniors presentations and what kind of approach they have followed. So this is something which I did beforehand, before my internship, which really helped me out. Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah, obviously, I would agree with you. I can't agree more with you when you say that presentation skills, Excel, and probably PowerPoint. These are the three basic things, right? If you want to learn something during your MBA, trust me, these are the three things that you need to learn. They come in really, really handy. And I can't, there's not even a day for me for the last 6-7 years that has gone by without me touching one of these three things. Right? So Naveen, for you, how has been your learning during your internship as well? What were your learnings?
Well, I mean, I was really lucky to, get into PwC STC. And I think it's when somebody says that, organization is a reflection of its people. I think it's
So, Naveen,
PwC proves it. I mean,
probably when you said PwC STC, a lot of people don't know what is PwC STC. Could you please tell us about it?
Sure. So PwC, there's PwC India, and there's PwC SDC, which is also sometimes called the Acceleration Center for PwC. So basically, it works in tandem with PwC's offices in US, and handles some, in collaboration, they work on the projects that are handled in US. So it's basically US clients, and PwC works on that. So SDC stands for Service Delivery Center.
Okay, and what were your learnings during your internship?
Yeah, sure. So I am an HR student, and communication is probably the biggest thing that I look up to whenever I am judging a company, so to say. So one of my biggest learnings from this whole experience with PwC particularly was the importance that they gave to communication. In these unfortunate times, PwC came through with their promise, and they completely transformed their internship into an online experience. At every step of the way, we were kept in loop as to what our internship would look like, and all our queries were answered on time. And even after we joined, it didn't end. They made sure that there was open channel of communication, and they took various initiatives to facilitate that as well. So there were, coffee connect sessions informally, so that we feel welcomed, and there were leadership connects as well. Another big learning for me personally was the skill of switching between micro and the macro view of problems that I was working on, so as to not lose focus of the objectives and still deliver quality product as to what was expected from me. So switching back and forth and not losing sight of the whole big picture was probably one of the biggest learnings I had. And thirdly, I would say it was the fact that something is this is you would also agree, it's imbibed in the cultural fabric of PwC and any other consulting firm, that to deliver quality, every time, repeatedly, consistently. So right from the induction program, the partner connects, the case study competitions, there were case study competitions that they made us go through, the mid reviews, and till the final interview process for the PPO. The standard of quality deliveries was set high for us. So we knew we had to match and exceed it as well. So we made sure we pushed ourselves very hard and to deliver the same quality that was expected, and that to every time. So yeah, those are the three things that I learned.
And how easy the transition from a college life to a corporate life. So once you do your MBA, right, or while you are doing your MBA, are you actually ready to be placed in a corporate life? What are the extra skills probably that your B school honed in you, which helped you during your internship process?
Okay, so should I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so both me and Payal have a similar background, and we already knew what corporate life looked like. But this, believe me, after MBA was completely different. The stakes were high, the expectations from us were high, and you are very right when you ask this, right? How does MBA or the college helps you, right? And SCMHRD, I'll tell you, helps you immensely. I obviously cannot say for other colleges, but SCMHRD from the very beginning. So if you look at the admission process for SCMHRD, there's this thing called, which is group exercise, which no other college has. So you are put it into a situation where you have to work with people that you don't know and come up with a solution right at that very moment. Now these small things that SCMHRD focuses on gives you that extra edge. You know, you are put into a pool, you either swim or you drown, right? So those who actually try to swim, those are the ones who go ahead. So that one little thing, then you have experiential learning constantly. So I last year got a chance to go to ITC's Ranjangaon factory and visit the place where Bingo and Mad Angle and all of those products are made, right? So we went there, we met the HR professionals there, we had our sessions there, and we could interact with the people working there, the blue collar workforce there. And it was really great learning. And that is something we call at SCMHRD experiential learning, and not just the rote theoretical learning. We implement that as well. And then there's corporate competitions, which only the best of the colleges get to be a part of. So we are always a part of that. And this year, even more opportunities have opened up. So those are the kinds of things, which you are not really ready, is what you feel at when you enter. But you don't really have the time to think about it. You come, you push the pedal, you accelerate, and you go forward, and you keep on learning. That the process of constant learning never ends. So you fail, you get up again, you fail, you get up again, and eventually you succeed. So that the whole process, if you look at it collectively, is what makes you stand out while you are interning, because that hard work shows, that attitude shows out when you are interning at a company.
Yeah, I think I very well connect with you, and I remember my MBA days. MBA changes you overall. Your personality changes is what I believe, right? As you correctly pointed out, peer learning, experiential learning, actually you get to make your hands dirty. And you mentioned transition from a micro. I look at the problem. Initially, I used to look at the problem from a micro angle. And what MBA teaches you is to look at a macro angle, right? Because at the end, you are a budding manager. Probably both of you would be managers soon, right? So the transition from a micro level analysis to a macro level analysis, when you learn to focus on the big picture, I think is one of the big getaways from an MBA. Payal, my next question is to you, right? So I know that I've been placed, you have got a PPO, but there is something called values in an organization, right? And when you get a job or when you work in an organization, you need to resonate with the values in the organization, right? So could you tell us, could you share some experiential learning, some probably examples of what you have gone through, and can you resonate with the values in the company that you have worked for?
Sure. I really believe passion is something which is really important for anyone to like their work or go ahead and do well in it. Because if you don't have the passion or the likingness towards it, you're obviously going to be bored and you wouldn't survive much without a passion towards it. And Vodafone Idea as a company has one of their values as passion. And so this is a value which I completely resonated with. And also during my internship, we used to have leadership series in which one of the leaders came and actually told one statement saying that when you are working, behave as if you are the CEO of your area. And this was one statement which totally won my heart. And I so was looking forward to being in such a company where they share such kind of an idea and they believe in such thoughts. So, and apart from this, being digital is also one of their values, which I completely agree with. Because obviously we are in the millennials generation, the coming generation, Gen Z, we all are completely, especially in this situation right now, we all are completely dependent on being digital. And without which obviously no industry currently would survive. And this is a value which they follow, they just abide by it. And this is something which I really like, and I stand by it, obviously. But these are two values. I mean, the passion which drives you and being digital is something which I really resonated with Vodafone.
Okay, Naveen, for you, another interesting question, right? The COVID has probably changed the world and changed the way we work, right? And now work from home is the new norm. So, but again, when we
Yeah.
work from home, right, there is often a debate between personal versus professional life, the balance. Is the balance sometimes lost? And have you ever
Yeah.
experienced any difficulties while working from home?
Well, yes. I mean, one of the first thing that comes to my mind is the back aches that I used to have during that internship
Here you
period.
see, right? I
I
am sitting,
mean,
the chair that I have got especially meant to be work. Yeah, it's working from home. This long hours that we sit. Yeah, I know. I can understand very well. Go ahead, please.
yeah. So everybody who works there, I mean, they know the pain, right? So yeah, the lines are very thin now. I mean, where work starts and where it ends. And it's true for everybody, not just the interns, for everybody out there, even for the people who are preparing for their MBAs right now, sitting in front of a computer because there's no other way. Those boundaries between a professional life and the personal life kind of get blurry. Yes, I agree. There were definitely times, when I felt exhausted since I wanted to make sure, I was going that extra mile, I was delivering my best all the time. And you can't really, slack is what I felt. So there were times when I exhausted, but then I think it was easier for me because as we discussed already, MBA prepares you for all of those things. You are in an a residential program and you are ready for a placement drive or a PPT at 6 in the morning, at 4 in the night. You never know what's going to happen at what time. So all of those things make you prepared for all of these situations which you are going to face in real life. And who would have thought that we would be sitting in front of a computer and doing that? So I feel my time at SCMHRD and the culture we have, of collaboration and this community that we have built made it rather easy for me to adapt to this whole situation. And even the people at the associates at PwC, they were way ahead in their thinking and they knew all these insights way before we started. So they made it very clear even in the induction process itself, to make so they asked us to make sure that we don't burn ourselves out, right? There were constant checkpoints for us. So they used to organize meditation and yoga sessions for us like any other permanent PwC employee. They included us in their Pride Month celebration in June, informal virtual coffee sessions to make sure that we felt taken care of. And I think that's one of the best things that I could, sense from the company and the culture they had built, because they could have just avoided us being interns, but they did not. They took care of us as just like a permanent employee. And that goes to say a lot of things for PwC.
That's great. So I asked about work from home, right? And could you also tell us about your college, right? How it adapted to the changing circumstances? We know that lakhs of students are writing the MBA entrances this year, and a lot of them are actually apprehensive about how how B school learning is going to be about online. So how has SCHMRD adapted to the new infrastructure?
So there are a lot of changes for sure. And obviously we cannot compare the physical educational world and this nature. But I would say this, obviously there would be, apprehensions as to what or how this is going to happen. But our college was really swift with it, I would say. So as soon as pandemic started and there were, talks of the V curves, U curves of recovery and all of those things, and they were also thinking, so our college and Symbiosis University on the whole was very quick at that. And we got our Microsoft Teams subscriptions done very soon. And so that any kind of thing or any kind of discussions or any kind of calls that we needed to make were to go through Microsoft Teams, and all of those things were set up. Then yes, it has its drawbacks that you are not physically present. There's a lack on the bit of the peer learning part, but that is removed when you see at the opportunities that open up, right? So now we have access to all the Coursera courses in the world. We have the choice to go ahead and take as many as we want. Secondly, now it has opened up the this virtual world where we can get people from all over the world to talk with us and interact with, which were like on a physical ground would not have been possible. So recently SCMHRD had a conference where people from all the universities across the world, and they came in and we were able to present our papers and our researches as well. So that kind of opportunity I don't think would have been possible if it were physically present at campus. And the kind of companies and the corporate connections that we are able to make now would not have been possible back then. So yes, it's a give and take, I think. some things you will have to let go, and some things we'll have to obviously gain as well. So I think it's a good trade if you ask me. And obviously we are hopeful that we get to go back on campus soon as well. So the teachers are same. There's no downside there. We have still the best faculty that you could ask for MBA, and they are really open to share, because they also know that it's difficult, working at being at home, taking care of all the responsibilities, and then studying as well. And that goes same for them as well. So they are very open. There's an open line of communication. You can reach out to any teacher when you want, on MS Teams or on emails or on calls. They're very frank that way. And we have, again, as I said, we are able to get more visiting faculties as well. So the kind of possibilities are endless now, if you ask me.
Possibilities are endless. That's something really well said. And I remember that possibilities are endless, right? Yeah, the world is now a smaller place for sure. For you, my next question. What are the major skills that you actually developed during your MBA, during your internship rather?
So my internship was in the big data and advanced analytics team of Vodafone Idea, and I was a market. Obviously, it's under the marketing STEM itself, but this domain required me to explore the analytics side much more than what I had thought. So initially, I was very skeptical about it as to how I would go forward with it and how would I go ahead with it. But things turned out very well, and I performed a sentiment analysis. I did that. I did web scraping from Twitter. I used languages like R and Python to code and to collect, web scrape the data of these. So I mean, these kind of the approach that I had taken was not something which I had expected or prepared for. But now, I'm so confident that if I get some project along in these same lines, I would be able to pick it up. And I have also learned the importance of how important analytics is as a field, and how data can be leveraged to make marketing decisions. Because any kind of a decision that you're taking, even if you're in the marketing domain, you need to have certain idea about analytics, because that is how you are going to take a decision and then move forward. So, I mean, this is a skill which is really, I have acquired, that firstly, getting my hands on Python and R and a little bit of coding and understanding what it is, and also the importance of analytics and how to leverage analytics and get data insights and use them for making your marketing decisions. So I think, yeah, this is something which I really learned for my internship. My biggest takeaways in my internship.
Very important skills, right? If I may add, which you have mentioned, R and Python, yeah, right. And these are skills which are very much in demand in the market. And on the other hand, we also have MBA aspirants, right, who keep asking all the time, what is that I can add on my resume? Probably you and I probably would think that R and Python are two very good things to be added on anyone's resume. So if any MBA aspirant wants to learn R and Python, right, what do you suggest they should learn from? What is the best source, or where did you learn R and Python from?
So I learned R and Python from, so I basically just Googled and checked YouTube. There are so many videos over there where you can just come across different codes that are available. And obviously there are a lot of codes which are readily available on the website, and that's how I went through it. And obviously we have a business analytics domain in our college itself, and we have had a bit of hands-on, like, so SCMHRD also gives you an experience to learn R, even in spite of being in the MBA core branch. So I had R as a part of a subject. So we did learn a little bit about R in our college itself. So that is something which really helped me. So it was not something which was completely new for me. But obviously the data which is available online and on YouTube, I browsed through them and I took it forward as to how I can, approach with these tools and languages.
That's good. That's helpful. I'm sure that will be really helpful, that piece of advice for thousands of MBAs who would watch this video, right? Naveen, my question to you, right? Once you get into a summer internship, or once you get placed during your summers, what you next aspire to get is a PPO. And both of you have successfully converted your summer internship into pre-placement offers. Now, at this point of time, if an aspirant were to ask you, how should, or what were the techniques or probably tricks or tips or what did you do that extra? What is that extra thing that you did, which you believe gave you this PPU?
It's difficult, to come out right and say these are the things that you need to do and you'll get a PPO at PwC or anywhere else. But I feel it is way more than that. It goes beyond the boundaries of those 2 or 3 months of internship. And I feel for me, it started at SCMHRD. Our culture to, be open to opportunities and have open mindset, to appreciate collaborations, to adapt quickly to situations, and to deliver the best consistently is something that I feel worked for me during my internship as well. And the first thing that I made sure of was to ask questions, because most of the times when we take up a problem or a job or anything of that sort, we jump directly to trying to solve it, and that I think is the wrong way to do things. It is very important, and it was for me as well during my internship. It is very important to make sure that I understood what was expected of me. So there, whenever you are taking a project, people have a vision as to what they see as the output of the things, right? So I would have a different one, and you could have a different one as well. So it was important for me to understand completely what my mentors and my buddies there at PwC wanted from me. Secondly, I think for me, it was my sincerity to work. I take my work very seriously since obviously it was a virtual setup, right? I knew it was going to be a task to make genuine connections there. And hence I was ready to go the extra mile. I made sure I had a constant feedback system in place, not just from my buddy and mentor, but also the associates and directors at PwC, so that I could, bring in different perspectives and into my work and make some good connections as well. As you guys said, networking is the key, right? And if I were to say the last thing that worked for me to get a PPO, it was my attitude and perseverance. There's no shortcut to success, right? And I feel only consistent and focused hard work, focused being the key point here, focused hard work can make sure that you achieve it. And hence I made sure that this attitude was clearly visible from the work that I was doing, for the deliverables that I was giving, and that every interaction that I was having, I was making sure that this attitude was clearly visible. So I think these are the few things that worked for me, and I got lucky and got the PPO.
That's nice. And I think for all the B school aspirants who is watching the video, right? There's something for you. Focused hard work, right? There's no shortcut to success, yes, as they say. Be it cracking the CAT, be it getting into the IIMs, or for that matter, SCMHRD, or converting a internship to a PPO. There is no shortcut to success anywhere. That's a takeaway definitely from the talks that we are having. For you, a lot of us, right? A lot of us, probably you also could be one of them, and I also could be one of them, and 1,000 more aspirants. When they get into a B school, the first and the foremost thing that they look at is placements. B school placements. Now that both of you are placed, is probably getting a job, getting a dream job, the end of an MBA? Is it the end of an MBA journey, or is it just a more wonderful journey had just started?
So, well, getting a PPO definitely makes your life much, much more easier, because you do not want to get back to that final placement process, because I don't think there's anything more draining than that particular process. So definitely it makes your life more easier and your MBA journey more peaceful. But definitely it's not the end of your MBA journey, because MBA journey is not just about getting a job. It's also about learning. It's about your academics is definitely there. But so SCMHRD has given us the opportunity to, as I mentioned, and Naveen as well as mentioned, that we had to write research papers and we were allowed to present it in a conference. So this kind of opportunity is something which you can really leverage. Obviously, publishing a research paper in your in your MBA journey is something which is going to be very value adding anytime in your future. So, and not just this, but there are so many business competitions which are there going on currently, and participating in these competitions will help you get so many ideas. Like you're basically dealing with fresh problems which are there currently in the industry. So these kind of cases that are given to you helps you brainstorm and understand different ideas what can be put forward. And obviously when you're watching the national finalists, whoever is one, you get to know what kind of ideas they have proposed. You're actually learning. So this kind of peer learning kind of a system is something which you should really leverage and take forward, because this is going to help you even in your job when you're working ahead. So definitely getting a PPO is not the end of your MBA journey. There's so much more to your MBA life.
Correct. Yeah, I know that a lot of aspirants, when we choose a B school, right, or why we actually want to do an MBA is probably the number of zeros we see at the end of our salary package. But I think more than that is also about the learning, as Payal has correctly pointed out. It is more about the learning, right? If you are learning and if you are do exceptionally well in your work life, the money would flow. And I think that is something that a lot of us would realize in the later part of our careers. But as you well said, the learning is the most important part in your MBA journey. Naveen, a question for you now. What is the bad strength of your college?
Sorry?
What is the bad strength?
So the bad strength is 180 for us. Then, as I mentioned, we also have IDM, infrastructure development management, and business analytics. So they, I think, have 60-60, and it's clear. It's very easily with, available on our website as well. Okay,
so my question is basically why I asked you that question is we are talking about, let's say, 300 odd students, right?
Yeah.
And not all 300 landed up with a PPU, right? So what set you apart from your competitors that actually fetch you a PPU?
Okay, that's a difficult question. I mean, I think it comes down to a few innate qualities of every individual that stand out, right? And for me, I think those were my dedication and my attitude towards my work, and my consistent and focused hard work, as I said. I mean, I always take my work very seriously, and I really get distracted when I have some work at my hand. I feel when I'm in a position where expectations are high from me, I get really focused and I deliver even better. So while in my internship as well, I made sure I knew what was expected of me. I kept in constant touch for my feedback system, and to be very open is probably one of the biggest keys here. If you restrict your mindset and your thinking process, it's not going to help. You have to be very open in all the perspectives that you could take in for your project. I made sure all my deliverables exceeded the expected quality every time. And I feel one of the most important things that I always used to do was to give my deliverables a hint of myself, so to speak. I made sure that the deliverables weren't just a replica of what's expected, but there was an extra element that could be traced back to me. So to say what marketing people say, personal branding of sorts. So apart from this, I think there are a lot of small things as well, which we usually ignore. Like being on time for the meetings, listening intently, asking the right questions, being open to criticism as well, and collaborations. Add all of this and a tad bit of luck, and I think that's what made me stand apart from all the people. And just to add, we are not the only ones who got PPUs. There are so many other people and our batchmates as well at SCMHRD who have got PPUs from various great organizations.
So speaking to Naveen, so what I understand is there are two key things, right? For all aspirants who are looking at this program, understand expectations of your stakeholders, be it your professor, be it your manager, be it your company boss, whoever is your stakeholder. Understand expectations, and what Naveen has constantly been focusing on, then strive to exceed those expectations, if I may put, right?
Sure.
And yes, probably that is his secret to the success that he is being achieving. So I think I'll have one final question to both of you, right? So I'll start with Payal. One final question to both of you would be, lakhs of students are looking at these videos because they also see themselves at some point in their career where they wish to pursue an MBA. Before that, they need to clear the hurdle of their competitive exam, right? So I think some piece of advice from A, how to clear their exam, and B, once they get into a B school, some piece of advice post that as well.
So definitely, if you, as Naveen has already mentioned, your journey for an MBA is going to start much more ahead, starting with the preparations. I would obviously just advise them to be very consistent with their preparations throughout to get inside a B school. And talking about a B school, my first advice would be them to join SCMHRD without a doubt, because it is certainly an amazing college to be in. With the kind of exposure that you get here, I'm sure it's a decision that you would never regret. And how to go forward with your internship, I think something which is very important for you to in your internship is to add value to the company. So you should be the ideas or the recommendations and the suggestions that you're giving firstly should be implemented, could be implemented and should be feasible. So that is something which is very important and of a prime importance to be considered. And obviously there are various ways in which you can go forward and approach to your internship. But one important thing we have to keep in mind is the approach that you follow is something that the company is really going to see. So your every step, every action or every decision you take forward in your internship should have a solid reasoning behind it as to why you're doing this current kind of action. If you're doing the primary research, it should be defined as to why are you defining a certain kind of a target audience. You need to have a reasoning for that. So all these kind of a question, like cross-questioning you on every stage of your internship is going to be really helpful. And this is what the company is also going to evaluate in their evaluation criteria as to what's the approach that you have followed. So this is something which I think is very important. I mean, not just in your internship, but developing this kind of a behavior or this kind of a habit is something which is very important in a B school. Like any kind of action that you're taking should be backed by a logical reasoning. This is something which I would really advise the juniors to take it as a habit, even in your business competition. That's my side.
That's good to know. Thank you for that wonderful piece of advice. Naveen, same question to you as well. And probably you worked in TCS, right? And a lot of people, a lot of students rather, who write the CAT also are probably working in IT companies. So they might be able to relate to you very nicely, because if you rewind your life 2-3 years back, their current stage and what you have achieved probably is they see a similar path. So guide them through this path, A, before they write the exam, and B, post their exam as well.
Well, I think it's amazing. I mean, if I look back, I used to think I'm not good enough, and those kinds of judging yourself and being hard on yourself. Everybody goes through that. The only thing you have to remember that you today at your point are better than you were yesterday, and you can only move forward. You cannot go back, right? So don't be so hard on yourself. As Payal said, be consistent. And my piece of advice before and after, and even after that, and after MBA, is to be open to challenges, to opportunities, to failing. That's very important, I think. Fail a lot of times, get up again, try again, never give up. So be open to all the possible opportunities that you get. Now, I was a software engineer, and before that I was an electronics engineer, right? So electronics engineer turned to a software engineer, turned to HR professional. Now, that if I was not open in my purview or the kind of opportunities that I got at SCMHRD and beyond that as well, if I would not have been able to achieve what I did today. So my one piece of advice is to be open in everything that you do. Don't be scared. You'll fall, but you'll learn and you'll get up again. So be open. That's it.
That's great. And I know I said it's the last question, but one more question that I would like to ask is, the SNAP exam would be over soon, right? And post that, aspirants will also need to prepare for their GDPIs. So could you also tell them a bit about the GDPI process in your college?
All right, sure. So we have a very, as I said in the very beginning, we have a great process. I mean, the student community takes care of the whole process. So GD, PI, WAT, and then your GE as well, as I mentioned, the group activity exercise. All of those things added together is what will happen when you come on campus for the process, or virtually this year maybe. So there would be different processes and there would be people to guide you throughout. So you don't really have to hassle. We make sure that on the day of the interview, when the candidate is there and standing in the light, the only thing he should be worried about or concerned about is the process and nothing else. No documents, nothing else. So if you're missing on something, our team would be there to help you. If you're not sure where to go, our team would be there to help you. And I don't think any other college does that. And we do it the best. So if you're preparing for GE Pivot for our college, I would suggest read a lot. And as much as it doesn't matter what you read. Read anything and it will give you a perspective. It will form opinions, and those are very important while you are in a GD and while you are giving a personal interview as well, because your individuality is what stands. And we at SCMHRD invest in the people. So don't just go ahead and, focus on just the marketing terms or the HR terms. Don't do that. We have a lot of fields here, and we don't look at those just rote learnings. We look at the personality that you bring to the table and what are you bringing in extra, right? So we invest in you rather than what you know academically. So that's my piece, like what I would advise.
That's a good piece of advice. Okay, thank you. And I think it was really great to have both of you. I did not even realize how the last 45, 50 minutes have passed, right? And I'm sure there were a lot of takeaways from this session. Takeaways from probably the horse's mouth, right? People who have actually gone through it, experienced it, and have been successful at this point of their career. So thank you, Payal. Thank you so much. And Naveen, thank you so much. Thank you to both of you. It was really great to have you on this session. And we wish you all the very best. I'm sure both of you would have really wonderful careers, and all the very best. And I'm sure your placements are over. Party hard. These are the last few days that you get to enjoy, right? And after that, your work life starts, your corporate life starts, and after that, it's in a different process. So enjoy the last few days, and thank you again. And I wish you the very best to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Parikshit. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.